Hi, I'm Dr. Koziol, Director of the Parenting Rights Institute, welcoming you back to my home. If you've been following what I've been doing, it's a series of videos designed to bring more attention to the corruption which is occurring in our divorce and family courts throughout America. I've met a lot of wonderful parents in my travels, wrote a number of books, did a number of documentaries, and attended many parenting conventions and events. The wonderful things that Joe Sorge did with Divorce Corp, the parenting convention that he did in Washington, D.C. All the things that so many good people and groups are doing and are getting suppressed. Parental advocates putting themselves on the line time and again, only to find the retributions from their own government, our government, an American form of government supposedly, are retaliating because it's become a big industry. Our children have been turned into objects. I call it an epidemic. And it's one that I aim to reform. And when I did, after 23 years, unblemished, as a very successful civil rights attorney, they turned their guns on me. And boy, did they. The playground behind you is where my children spent many a weekends and had very, very wonderful times. We had a wonderful Halloween party here, family events, cookouts. It was something that was that made them very, very happy. I did this because they loved playgrounds. At a young age, we went to all the playgrounds in the area. In fact, we had names for them. There was the grandma's playground, there was mommy's playground, there was daddy's, and so forth. Mine, of course, was the best playground, and we never excluded mom from that. We were having our problems. We were separated at the time, but we got along. Then the lawyers got involved. Many of them had a vendetta on me for various things I had done on behalf of clients, loyal to my clients. I won a number of cases, and they were anxious to retaliate. Well, they used her. She wasn't too particularly bright, and she went along with this. And apparently sadistically enjoyed herself in the process. So that this playground has not been in use in at least 3 years. Last time my daughters and I played on it, it was that long ago. And they put so many conditions on me, using every little parenting issue they could find, that it just became impossible for me to safely access my children. All the protection orders were thrown out. They got a gag order on this very site. That was also thrown out. I had to go to New York Supreme Court to accomplish that. The family court judge stepped off my case after that. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But I've been through 35 trial level judges. That's right, 35. Unprecedented, to my knowledge, in American history. I went through that many judges because I found fault with so many of them. All they did is expose it, asked them to get off the case. It was the proper thing to do in the judicial code. Obviously, 35 did. I must have been right about something. But let's look at that playground. I want to kind of walk you through what is really going on in these divorce and family courts should you decide you want to go there for some foolish issue that you think you're going to prevail on. Because even the judges will tell you, how many told me during all my years, that there are no winners in these courts. Well, there are winners. Let me take that back. The winners are the lawyers, the therapists, the counselors, the forensic accountants, so many different people, including the judges themselves. They were former lawyers too. They know the score. They can reward these people. They get votes. They get donations to their campaigns. And the federal government rewards these judges by the number of child support orders that they manufacture. It's called Title IV-D revenue, incentive revenue funding for child support. States get it. They love the custodial system. That's the reason why they oppose shared parenting. Shared parenting is not profitable. Custody is, because moms and dads have to fight, and the almighty award then allows that parent to marginalize the other to the point where they're removed, alienated from their children. And some get to the point where a local police investigator here in my hometown couldn't take it anymore. He left support court. They took his guns. They put protection orders on him. He was living reportedly on $28 a week after all the child support and everything else that was taken from him. They don't care when they do these things. They don't care if dad is homeless. Well, he took the law in his own hands. And this lawman left support court, went to the home of the ex-spouse, and committed a murder-suicide through the use of a common kitchen knife. 3 children are now without parents. And the city, $2 million liability, because apparently the police department didn't do enough to keep an eye on him. Are you kidding me? Well, society is getting that much out of control. Let's take a look at this playground again. Looks like a child's paradise, but in reality, it's a lawyer's paradise. For example, take a look at that slide on the one side there, a little crooked. That could be dangerous. Take a look at the swing sets. Two are a little low to the ground. Children could hurt their feet. The one is a little high. They could slide back, fall on their head. Dangerous. Sandbox, that's in the corner. Look at the sharp edges on the retaining wall. Look at the trampoline. Well, there's no net around it. It hasn't been used in 3 years. The winter elements took care of that. So the playground can be used by any kind of court-appointed investigator. The child attorney, he lives up the street, never had children. Nobody married him, and if you looked at him, you'd know why. A scary-looking dude who comes in, and because he had such anger problems with his own dad over the years, his dad, by the way, was a police officer, and was afraid of what he might do with his gun. He never did anything with his gun other than, I guess, use it to go after burglars maybe, but he is a man who obviously has a childhood disorder involving his dad, and he takes it out on other dads, and he tried to take it out on me. And I've done everything I could to hold him accountable. But because he's part of the system, they've always excused him. Even when I got him dead to right committing perjury. That's how bad the system is. I also want to talk about the law enforcement. Dallas Police Chief David Brown may have said it best when he said that society is expecting too much from police today. He's the chief of the department where the 5 police officers were shot dead, assassinated, because they were protecting a protest. They were actually protecting the protesters get shot dead. Much like Walter Scott, who's running from a child support warrant. Unarmed, didn't commit any crime. This happened in South Carolina. I was there at his funeral as a civil rights advocate, talked to national media there. Fortunately, a citizen with a cell phone video caught the scene. Cop shoots him dead, running through a playground from a child support warrant. Shot dead in the back 5 times, unarmed. The white cop was charged with murder. A black cop was also charged because of his participation in it. And the city had to pay out a $3 million settlement to the family of Walter Scott. Is this really what it's coming down to in America today? You owe debt, you get shot dead? And there are many more incidents to come. It's a situation that's getting out of control. If Hillary Clinton's village takes over, and it looks like it's what's going to happen, then you can expect our children will become property of the state, if they aren't already. We have a parenting right under the United States Constitution. The Supreme Court has said that. The oldest liberty interest. They're taking that from us, and we're going to lose it altogether soon, because parents don't seem to have an advocacy group working for them. Everyone else has one, we don't. In fact, the Supreme Court has yet to hear its first shared parenting case. Why? Well, because the custody system is profitable, shared parenting is not. Simple, simple. It's all about the money, right, folks? Well, the law enforcement community is being burdened by child support warrants, debtors that help other people get rich. They're getting calls for noise, dog barking, chasing dogs, as Chief Brown put it. They're not made for that. Shouldn't they be going after the terrorists, the real criminals? But they're criminalizing parenthood in America today. They really are. Parent Punishment Act. You move to another state, you owe more than $5,000 child support. Most of you folks, I don't think, know about this. You are now, you have now committed a felony. It's a never-ending process of criminalizing the people who made our society possible. Let's face it, we can't all be that bad, especially when the people on the other side that are judging us are worse. Brian Hedges, my custody judge, removed from the bench for admitting to sexual misconduct on his handicapped 5-year-old niece. When I moved to have him removed from my case, they said I was questioning a judge whose reputation was beyond reproach. And I had to get him off my case because he directed the chief family court clerk to conduct political espionage, along with the chief judge, James Tormey, who's still on the bench. That clerk got a $600,000 judgment against recovery against both of those judges in a federal civil rights case. And yet, the judge, one is still on the bench, and the other did step off of my case, as I asked him to, under an appearance of impropriety because of his politics. I was a political figure. I ran for Congress, and Senate, and so forth, a recommended for a state judgeship, a potential competition. So he had to get off my case. He did. Even though I was attacked for that, only 6 months later he was removed from the bench for a situation that is just shocking. So you can't look at your judge as being that sacrosanct individual. He or she could have some very serious problems. On my website, leonkoziol.com, you will find many, many examples of corruption in our divorce and family courts. I'm not going against the profession. The legal profession is a very noble one. But these lawyers are what I call voodoo lawyers. They're dragging down the profession. Because the simple standard of the best interest of the child, well, any half-baked lawyer could come up with some argument. Even the lawyer for my children up the hill who knows nothing about children, or pretends to. Let's leave it at that. But the law enforcement is being burdened to capacity and being asked to go to situations they should not be. They shouldn't be resolving family disputes. They shouldn't be coming to our home every time somebody has their feelings hurt. They make that domestic violence call, and now the cops are all over here, and under the VAWA laws and all these new ones, the liberals have these cops coming on the slightest allegation. And the slightest allegation could have you suddenly go into a parenting program or some other thing that costs you all kinds of money. You love your children, so you'll do these things. And then they find all these things wrong with you. 300 disorders in the DSM-5 manual. One of them is generalized anxiety disorder. Well, you get that when you walk into court. So I guess all of us have a disorder before we even go to these places. They can find something wrong with you. And they kind of have to, don't they? If a judge makes a referral and says, well, this parent is angry. Well, yeah, he should be angry if he's having his children. Well, she's, been abused, emotionally abused. Well, send the children too. Let's all have them go under these psychiatric evaluations. And so what does the psychiatrist do? Well, they want more work, don't they? This is easy money. And if they send the parents back with a report that says that they're fine, they're normal, then the judge is being led to believe that he or she was wrong in making that referral. So they got to find something wrong with you. Even when the psychiatrist, the judge, and the lawyers are the real psychotics, if you will. There are the problems in our society that are being caused by all of this. And well, let me conclude, I suppose, with my judge, Daniel King. Well, when he was introduced in a teleconference, my ex was on the phone. I had to show up, some 60 miles away. This is what Judge James Tormey did to that clerk. One of her grievances, the retaliation, sending me to all these places, so far away from Syracuse where I live, all because I refused to engage in political espionage. And now I'm going through courts that are very distant. And on the phone, he introduces himself to her as Dan King. And I take note of these things because after 35 judges, 36 judges, depending on how you count them, some are hearing officers, some are, but they're all trial level, it's a serious problem. There was something that went wrong with these guys, or they wouldn't have stepped off my case, whether on my motion or on their own. Well, this particular judge directed me simply on an allegation by my ex-wife. When we were together, we went to all sorts of events. She drank mixed drinks, wine. I drank my usual America beer. Well, it's America Now, Budweiser. It's my only, if you want to call it a bad habit, that's my only. And it's, of course, legal beverage. And everybody, so many drink it across America. If it's a problem, well, then Obama's got a problem. Hillary, Bill, Trump, all of them have an alcohol problem. Well, this judge directed me not to have any alcohol for no other reason than an allegation, unsupported. I haven't been talking to my ex for years, and simply because she didn't like the woman I was with at the time. She makes the allegation. The judge is anxious to come after me, so he enters that order. I did a wedding toast because I'm not going to change, for that judge and make my niece's wedding anything but best it should be. And I'm not going to be, so I did the toast. Brought it to my lips. I said, okay, there was no consumption. Oops, I had him on a technicality. He hits the roof. So here's what he does. He calls it an alcohol-related gesture. So even though, Mr. Koziol, you didn't consume the beverage, and I maybe should have put that in the order, but it was an alcohol-related gesture. But Judge, you didn't say I couldn't engage in an alcohol-related gesture. And the bigger problem is, what in the world is an alcohol-related gesture? If I take, an empty beer can to the depository, I mean, there's used to be alcohol in it. Is that a gesture? That's how ridiculous it's getting, and that's how bad that they wanted me. So what did I do? Well, let's take a look at the judge. I mean, they're different than us. They're special because they wear robes. So we went up to Lowville, New York, where he lives. He was new on the bench. He was a part-time public defender, no accomplishments that I know of. And his trials, he couldn't even conduct those properly. I can get into that someday, but when you're a veteran trial attorney, you see a judge conducting himself erratically, bizarrely, well, then you raise those issues, as you're right to do, and then what does he do? Angry, embarrassed, humiliated, threatens to have you removed from the court. It's a true story. So we discovered up there, we went to our very first bar, tavern, restaurant, Lowville, New York. Went up to the bartender. I had a couple of guys with me. We were investigating. Do you know anybody that comes here? That's any high-level people? Oh, yeah, Judge Dan King comes here. Really? Does he drink? Oh, yeah, I know his drink, and she told us, and everything else. Does his children come here? Oh, yeah, his children come in. And he's a regular here. Really? Judge Dan King? And you're going to judge me? I've never been charged. Even the higher judge, Judge Sentra, put a stay order on one of your orders, said he's never even been accused of anything. Where's the evidence? I mean, what's wrong with drinking beer? Is that now the new standard? Because if it is, then every parent, most of the judges, I got to believe, most of the parents that engage in just about anything that's questionable, an alcohol-related gesture. If you're in the room and there's a wine glass near you, is that an alcohol-related gesture? That's still law in my case. I can't engage in that. So I guess I want to close by simply stating that I believe in this country. I believe in our law enforcement. I feel bad that they're dumping on you like they are and putting you in harm's way when they should not. I'm very concerned about the upcoming elections, Hillary's Village, and what they're going to do to the future generations of America. So I would like to conclude by simply maybe making a toast to my custody judge who stepped off the case. And who knows what he's doing now. And I'd like to make a little toast to Judge Dan King of Lowville, New York. Here's my America. Have a nice day. God bless America.